Two friends were walking down the street. Suddenly, the sky darkened. It started to rain, fast, heavy, unexpected. One of them smiled. He tilted his head back, stretched his arms out, laughing like a child. "I love this," he said. "It's refreshing." The other? He groaned, pulled his jacket tighter. "This day just got worse," he muttered, annoyed. Same rain, same street, but two completely different experiences. So, what is the truth of that moment? This isn't just about mood. This is about reality and how we experience it. What if I told you we're never really seeing the world itself? We're only seeing a version of it created by our own mind. That's what the 19th century philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer believed. And it's the foundation of one of the most powerful and unsettling ideas in philosophy. The world is my representation. Schopenhauer didn't mean the world was fake. He meant this: everything you experience, sights, sounds, textures, thoughts, is filtered through your mind. You're not experiencing reality directly. You're experiencing your brain's version of it. Think about that rain again. The rain doesn't change, but one friend feels joy, the other, frustration, because they're not reacting to the rain itself. They're reacting to how their mind represents it. This is the core of Schopenhauer's philosophy. The world around you, everything you call real, is shaped by your perception, by your emotions, by your memory, by your expectations. Let's take a moment to talk about Kant's philosophy now. Kant changed the way we think about reality itself. He said, "We never truly know the world as it is. Instead, we only know the world as it appears to us, filtered through our senses, organized by our mind, time, space, cause, and effect. These are not out there. They're in here, in our mind. Our brain shapes what we experience." Kant called this the phenomenal world, the world of appearances. And behind it, he said, is the noumenal world, the world in itself. But here's the catch. We can't access that world directly. It's forever behind a veil. Then came Schopenhauer, and he loved Kant for this idea. He called him the greatest philosopher. But he also asked, can we ever get a glimpse of the world in itself? And his answer? Yes, not out there, but in here. He said, we all experience something deeper than thoughts and images. A force, a drive, a hunger to live, to want, to do. That thing is will. So while Kant left the thing in itself a mystery, Schopenhauer gave it a name. The world is my representation, he wrote. But behind it is will, blind, restless, and always striving. In his view, the world we see is a projection of our mind. But the world we feel, the desire, the struggle, that's the will. He even said, this will is the root of all suffering, because it never rests, it never stops wanting. The will, not willpower, not making choices or setting goals. Schopenhauer's will is deeper. It's not what we do. It's what drives us to do anything at all. It's the force that pushes a plant toward sunlight. That makes animals hunt. That fills humans with desire, for love, for power, for peace. It's the endless urge to survive, to grow, to want, to move. Schopenhauer said, will is the inner nature of everything. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but you feel it every time you want something. Hunger, that's will. Ambition, that's will. Restlessness, frustration, even boredom, all will. And it never stops. The moment one desire is fulfilled, another rises, a new craving, a new goal, and on and on. That's why he said, will is the root of all suffering, because we're caught in an endless loop. Want, chase, get, want again. So how do we escape? Schopenhauer's answer wasn't to feed the will, but to quiet it. Through art, that lifts us out of ourselves. Through music, which speaks directly to the will without words. Through compassion, where we forget our ego. And through deep awareness, moments where we let go of wanting. In the end, he believed that true peace doesn't come from having everything, but from wanting nothing. So next time you feel that itch inside you, that silent push to do, to prove, to pursue, remember Schopenhauer and ask yourself, is this me? Or is this the will working through me? So what do? Schopenhauer said, we can't kill the will, but we can calm it through art, through deep thought, through compassion, and through moments where we forget ourselves completely. Kant gave us the glasses. He showed us that we never see the world directly, only through the lens of our mind. Schopenhauer gave us the pulse. He looked inside and said, what drives us, what aches within us, that's the core of everything. So why does this matter? Because we spend our lives chasing truth, chasing certainty. We argue about what's right, what's beautiful, what's fair. But if all of reality is filtered through the lens of our minds, then everyone's world is slightly, or sometimes drastically, different. This doesn't mean there's no truth, but it does mean that truth, as we know it, is always interpreted. So, why does this even matter? Because we spend our lives chasing truth. We chase certainty. We argue about what's right, what's fair, what's beautiful, what's real. We try to nail down reality like it's a fixed object, as if there's a single version of the world that everyone should agree on. But what if there isn't? Arthur Schopenhauer said, the world is my representation. That means the world you see, hear, taste, touch is not the world in itself, but the world as it appears to you. It's shaped by your senses, by your upbringing, your culture, your emotions, your fears, your dreams. So two people can walk through the same street, see the same sunset, read the same message, and yet experience two completely different worlds. Why? Because they're not just observing reality, they're interpreting it, filtering it through the lens of their mind, their past, their beliefs, their expectations. One sees opportunity, another sees threat. One sees beauty, another sees pain. Same world, different minds, different realities. Does that mean there's no truth? No. It means truth isn't a simple object we can just grab and hold. Truth is always interpreted. Like light passing through colored glass, what we call truth is always tinted by perspective. That's why we clash. That's why misunderstandings happen. Why debates feel endless. Because we're not just disagreeing about facts. We're living in different versions of reality itself. And this isn't just theory. It's everyday life. You think someone's ignoring you. They're just overwhelmed. You think someone was rude. They were lost in grief. You remember a childhood moment as painful. Your sibling remembers it as fun. Same event. Two different truths. Because our minds aren't passive recorders. They're storytellers, crafting meaning, emotion, judgment from everything we perceive. So what does this mean for us? It means we need to slow down and listen. Be curious about how others see the world. Be humble about our own certainty. It means we should stop expecting others to share our exact perspective. And instead, try to understand theirs. And maybe, just maybe, we'll move one step closer to wisdom. Because when you realize that your version of the world isn't the world, you open up space for compassion, for growth, for peace. So yes, the world is our representation. And once you grasp that, you don't just see the world differently, you start living differently. Schopenhauer's philosophy isn't just abstract theory. It's a challenge to wake up, to look inward, not just outward, to realize that your experience of the world is not fixed. It's filtered, shaped, and constantly rewritten by your mind. You don't just live in the world. You help create the version of it that you live in. So the next time it rains, pause for a moment. Don't just run for cover. Ask yourself, is this good or bad? Or is it just rain? The answer you give, it might not tell you about the weather, but it will tell you something about your inner world, about your lenses, about your stories, about the meanings you've inherited, and the ones you've chosen. This is what Schopenhauer invites us to see, that so much of our suffering, our anger, even our joy, doesn't come from the world itself, but from how we represent it in our minds. And once you understand that, you begin to see the power you hold. Not the power to control the world, but the power to understand how you see it and slowly, gently, change your relationship to it. In a time where we're bombarded by noise, by curated feeds and constant distraction, philosophy reminds us to pause, to become conscious, to live with more intention and less autopilot. So here's the deeper message. You may never know the world as it truly is, but you can know the world as you truly are. And that changes everything. This is not just philosophy. This is a mirror. And if you're brave enough to look into it, you just might start seeing the world and yourself more clearly than ever before.